Hello everyone! Welcome to another class with Professor Alvarez. In today's class, we will be discussing fashion illustrations and their importance to fashion design. Elements such as color, line, shape, and texture are crucial for us to create successful fashion illustrations. We must remember to apply the design principles, which include balance, proportion, emphasis, rhythm, and harmony in order to create designs that are flattering to the body and to the consumers that are purchasing our collections. Let's take a look at this image that I found on Pinterest from a collection from Marc Jacobs. In the first two images, we can see that vertical lines are being used to create an elongated shape or silhouette. This is making the body look taller and also slimmer. In the third picture, we can see that we're using horizontal lines. Horizontal lines make the body look wider. Therefore, if you're trying to look for a narrow waist, you would try to stay away from horizontal lines. Now, the final picture shows diagonal lines. Diagonal lines create movement, which ultimately create a more dynamic design that gives more depth through the garment. In order to begin discussing fashion illustrations, the first thing that we must understand is the human body. In fact, it is essential for fashion illustrators to understand the human body in order to flatter different shapes and different proportions. In a study done in 2004, which was published by Healthline, where this photo is from, it was said that historically we have been categorizing the human body by different shapes. These shapes include hourglass, triangle, diamond, athletic, and round. Now you might be asking yourself, why is it important for us to understand body shapes when we are creating illustrations? Aren't illustrations simply just drawings? Well, fashion illustrations are meant to become fashion designs. Therefore, if we do not take body shape into consideration when we are creating the fashion designs, they too will lack proper proportion and balance and will not flatter the body. Let's take an example. If we were creating a collection of bodysuits for a team of gymnasts, we have to understand that typically gymnasts, because they are so athletic, they tend to have an inverted triangle body shape. This means they are broad up top and narrow towards the bottom, having broader shoulders and more of a narrow waist. Now we want to create a fashion design or illustration that adds less on top and more to the bottom. This will create a more narrow illusion at the top, lessening the broadening of the shoulders, and will still accentuate the waist. Let's take another example. The rectangular body shape, or athletic in the case of this image, portrays an individual with broad shoulders and more of a straight figure or rectangular body type. They have little or no curves essentially. So when we are creating a fashion illustration, we are trying to create a garment or a design that will give these individuals curves. This could include a cinched waist or belted garment. On the contrary, if we did not understand the body and we gave this individual a sheath, or we gave this individual a silhouette that was tight or clingy on their body, we would be influencing or accentuating that rectangular shape that we are trying to stay away from. Therefore, we have to understand body shape in order for us to flatter it with our designs. Once you have mastered the human body shape, we have to move on to croquis. Croquis are essential because they are the templates needed in order for you to create those fashion illustrations. They are what is called a fashion figure. These fashion figures can have different poses and different sizes and widths. This is for you to be able to create designs of different proportions or different positions, and even designs of asymmetrical looks and designs. Once you have created a croquis, it becomes your master template. This means it is used for all of your design sketches. However, for some, creating croquis at the beginning of their fashion design careers, in other words, when you first start, may seem intimidating or even it may be difficult. Therefore, there are companies such as designbundles.net, where this image is from, that provide templates of croquis that you can purchase, or you can even find some on Google. When creating your fashion illustrations or when creating your croquis, it is very important to remember that the clothes are more important than the figure. I will repeat this. The clothes are more important than the figure. In fact, the figure can be out of proportion. However, it is very important to remember that if figures are out of proportion, it must look intentional. It must not look like you've made a mistake or you've made an accident. It must look intentional, like it is deliberate. Although illustrations could be out of proportion and look like a sketch when finished, it is important for us to remember that finished illustrations must not have any erase marks. In order for us to avoid erase marks, what we must do is avoid drawing the underdrawing of our sketch with pencil. If we do use pencil, make sure to use it lightly, in order for us to be able to fully erase and not leave any of those pesky erase marks behind that will cheapen or make the illustration look like it's not finished or incomplete. It is also important to remember that we are able to use mixed mediums while creating our figures or our designs. In this case, Grace Chow, who is an artist from Singapore, is using flowers as her medium in order to create the designs in her sketches. Look how beautiful these designs are. The most important thing when creating fashion illustrations is to remember to be unique and to be different from other designers. You want to stand out in the eye of the consumer. It is also important to be unique in order to create some sort of emotion. We want to evoke emotion from our consumers. Take a look at this illustration from an Armenian illustrator. He is using different mediums in order to create emotions within us. In the first image, he's using pizza. Now, I know this illustration is provoking emotion because I'm feeling so hungry. I want some pizza. And I bet you're feeling hungry too, am I right? Now let's look at the second image. In this image, he's using flowers. From someone who's coming from a Hispanic background, it really reminds me of Spain. It reminds me of folklore. It reminds me of ethnicity. It reminds me of a powerful woman that is breathing in Mother Nature in spring. Let's look at that third image. It looks like he's using cinnamon sticks in order to create the garment. Number one, I'm connecting again with nature. I'm smelling that beautiful cinnamon scent, and I'm tasting it on the tip of my tongue, that spiciness. These are all the different emotions, and I'm using my 5 senses. This is what I want to do with my customer. I want to connect with them in every possible way. Now that we have covered what a croquis is, let's learn how to create one. The first step is to look through magazines and find a full body photograph of a male or female figure. We would like for the male or female to be in an S-curve shape or pose. So as you see in this image, the woman has an S-shaped pose. You can see that her body figure is making the shape of an S with her body using her legs and her arms. You are looking for a picture with this similar pose. Next, we're going to do something simple. We're going to remove the photograph from the magazine, and we want to place a piece of plain white paper above the image. In other words, place the plain white paper on top of the magazine picture that you have just selected. Then we're going to basically sketch the shape of the image to capture the pose. You must sketch in the following lines: head, shoulders, waist, hips, and spine. Make sure to trace the body, not the clothes seen in the image. For example, like here in Encourage Fashion. When you're finished tracing, you're going to remove the tracing paper from the image. Now you're going to make a good copy of the croquis using your master template, which is the one that you just created. The first thing you want to do is use the first croquis drawing and make a copy on a clean piece of paper. This will allow you to have a clean croquis and a master template moving forward. You can also create this using Adobe Illustrator once you feel more comfortable. When you do feel more comfortable with creating your own croquis, you can also go ahead and create different poses, like frontal pose or even action and sitting poses, which allow for more movement and more dynamic designs with more depth. Remember to follow the same instructions as you did with the first croquis in order to create these new poses. Now you have become a fashion illustrations expert. Remember to subscribe to continue learning more. I'll see you next time.